Hey guys, I want to talk about a really shocking story that I found on Infowars.com, and Alex Jones talked about it yesterday on his radio show. And it's that if you all know who he is, Cass Sunstein. Michael Savage talked about him, going all the way back to the summer. He is, I guess the nominee for like the Obama's information czar, or something like that, regulatory czar, and I found this, a ton of articles about Cass Sunstein recently on Infowars.com, which they have a ton of great stories posted there every day. I wish I could read them all, but they put so much good stuff up, and it was really shocking because what this guy wants is that Cass Sunstein wants certain groups that he calls conspiracy groups, like groups that are for certain things like 9/11 Truth, and other groups like conservative groups, maybe even the Tea Parties and movements like that. He wants the federal government, law enforcement, to infiltrate those groups and to cause ruckus in them and get them in trouble. That's what they want. That's what he wants them to do. And I'll read you the article that I found on Infowars.com, and I'll give you a link to it over in the description box, and you can read it for yourself. And I'll just read parts of it. It's written by Kurt Nimmo on Infowars.com, and it's titled "Sunstein's Paper Provides More Evidence, COINTELPRO Still Operational." Cass Sunstein's white paper entitled "Conspiracy Theories" is an exclamation point in the latest chapter of a long history of government tyranny against citizens who organize in opposition to the government. Sunstein argues that individuals and groups deviating from the official government narrative on a number of political issues and events such as, immigration, health care, tons of other issues like that, are a national security threat. The administrator of the White House Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs that's Cass Sunstein, formulates, quote, a plan for the government to infiltrate conspiracy groups in order to undermine them via postings on chat rooms and social networks, as well as real meetings, according to a recently uncovered article Sunstein wrote for the Journal of Political Philosophy. Writes Paul Joseph Watson. I don't know who that is. Sunstein's plan is a reformulation of a long-standing effort to subvert the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights. Concerted government attacks against organized political opposition began soon after the founding of the Republic, specifically with the passage of the Alien and Sedition Acts in 1798 by the Federalists, but have gained critical momentum in the modern era. And that's true because what happened, and I didn't know this before, I just found this out recently. What happened was that in 1956, the FBI established a program called COINTELPRO, which is short for Counterintelligence Program. And it was used to counter communist subversion, is what they say right here in the article. And they say, but numerous documents reveal the program focused almost exclusively on domestic opposition to government policies. And there was a committee in Congress called the Church Committee, and they talked about how COINTELPRO, quote, had no conceivable rational relationship to either national security or violent activity. The unexpressed major premise of much of what COINTELPRO is that the Bureau has a role in maintaining the existing social order and that its efforts should be aimed toward combating those who threaten that order. So basically, they were more against domestic groups that were actually peaceful and not hurting anybody than the threat that they said it was, which is like communists and people like that during the Cold War era. And, this goes back to my video, which I talked about last month, about how 2009 was like the year of attacks on free speech, and I said it would get worse, and it is. Cass Sunstein, this doofus is going to get into the White House. He doesn't have any accountability. He really has none. He's one out of 30-something czars in the White House who can, call the shots, do whatever, and he doesn't have to be held accountable. So he wants to do something similar to COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO, by the way, officially ended in the 1970s, but that doesn't mean, there's nothing secret out there. This was a program that went on until the 1970s. We don't know if there's other programs out there being used by the federal government to make groups look bad. You have to keep in mind, if you guys have ever heard of this, this happened over the summer. There was some guy. He was a racist, white supremacist radio host. I think from New Jersey. I think it was somewhere up in the Northeast, and his name's Hal Turner, and he was arrested because he made death threats to like officials or something like that in his state, and he was arrested. And in federal court, he pleaded he wasn't guilty, and he said that he was on the FBI payroll. He was an informant for the FBI, and so that tells you something. He was an informant, a paid informant working for the FBI. So what does that tell you? What that tells us is he was somebody who took a message, like anti-government message, and stretched it. This was someone who constantly talked about, I remember watching a video of his, I think, back in 2008, and he talked about how there's going to be this North American Union currency. And, and at the same time, he's preaching white supremacy, neo-Nazi rhetoric. And so what he's being paid to do is take a message that's actually not bad at all. It's just criticism of the government. And he's taking it and he's molding it where he's also making it look racist. He's making it look evil and make it look criminal to do or to say what he's saying and to believe what he's saying. And then he comes out in court saying that, oh, well, I was just paid to say this. I was an informant for the FBI.